Welcome to this special iTnews discussion with Aquion, master distributor of BiZZdesign in ANZ, and a world-renowned enterprise architecture and software development company BiZZdesign, and award-winning industry super fund and BiZZdesign customer UniSuper. With more than 450,000 members, UniSuper is one of the largest super funds in the country and has more than $100 billion in funds management. My name is Claire Connolly. I'm a research consultant, journalist, and contributor to iTnews. Digital transformation has been the defining theme of the last 2 years as the COVID-19 pandemic severely disrupted many, if not most, industry sectors, requiring businesses to make rapid decisions about changes to their business models that would keep them afloat during a period of pretty significant uncertainty. And as we will discuss in this webinar, BiZZdesign's white paper on the state of enterprise architecture found that firms had already laid a solid foundation of cloud storage and agility, were far better placed to adapt to the changes necessitated by the pandemic. The role of enterprise architecture in a post-pandemic environment serves as the backdrop of our discussions today in driving transformation and helping businesses meet the needs of remote workers and digital interactions and transacting. Before we begin, we acknowledge that we meet virtually on custodial land of the world's oldest living civilization, and we pay our respects to this place that we now inhabit. We honour their elders, past, present, and emerging, and I pay my respects to First Nations people that are here with us today. Before I begin, I am pleased to introduce you to our great speakers that will be talking to you today. We have Tim Steele, Cloud and IT Security Solutions Specialist from Aquion. We have Tony Ireland-Hay, Business Design Manager at UniSuper. We have Graham Hoggan, Business Architect at UniSuper, and Andrew Sanders, Head of Architect at UniSuper. Today, we're going to cover how UniSuper are using BiZZdesign to accelerate their digital transformation and their programs. We're also going to discuss how UniSuper's architecture team communicates their vision to executives, leadership, and stakeholders, the architectural model insights UniSuper has gained, which is supporting their informed decision-making process. And we're also discussing how BiZZdesign has empowered UniSuper's business and enterprise architecture collaboration. Just some housekeeping before we get started. This is an interactive discussion. We'll be calling on your questions. Please use the Q&A window to post your questions and we will try to answer them throughout the session. And any unanswered questions will be answered following the session, so feel free to send any across if you didn't think of any during our time today, and we'll make sure to get those answered after the session ends. Please note that this session will be recorded. We'll send through a notification with a link soon after we wrap up today. And if we can, we'll get everyone to keep their microphones on mute just to avoid any echoes or background noise during the webinar. To start off this panel discussion, I'm going to throw to Tim Steele, Cloud and IT Security Solutions Specialist at Aquion, to talk a little bit about Aquion and its relationship with BiZZdesign. Tim, thanks for being here with us this morning.
Yeah, great to be here, Claire.
Can I get you to talk a little bit about the relationship between Aquion and BiZZdesign? How did it get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, throughout our 20-year history, Aquion has been specialising in partnering with emerging and best-of-breed technology vendors across Australia and New Zealand, but typically those that don't have a sales arm. So we felt that there was a relatively untapped potential in the market for enterprise architecture tools and reached out to BiZZdesign and established a partnership 5 years ago. So Aquion is the distributor for BiZZdesign across ANZ, and together we've had tremendous success helping organisations across Australia and New Zealand to really take advantage of the BiZZdesign platform to help them to effectively execute their digital transformation strategies.
Can I get you to talk a little bit about BiZZdesign as a company? What are the main benefits of their platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So BiZZdesign is a Magic Quadrant leading Dutch enterprise architecture and business process software vendor and consulting firm. They were founded in 2000, and BiZZdesign is actually known as a co-developer of Archimate, which is an industry standard modeling language used globally. So BiZZdesign's mission is to help complex organisations thrive through change and to help companies build structural change muscle to dramatically increase the success rate and speed of their enterprise transformation, their strategic investment allocation, and their risk management. And I just wanted to add that their collaborative platform offers really powerful integration or integrated modelling, portfolio management, business insights, and reports across multiple disciplines, and provides the capabilities needed to seamlessly plan, design, and execute change in a single software platform. And I think this is a real strength, because a lot of organisations have multiple tools, but ultimately struggle to achieve that single source of truth.
Speaking of customers, I'm going to jump to you, Andrew, from UniSuper, to talk a little bit about, first of all, about UniSuper and the markets that you provide your services to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Claire. So really, as you were saying earlier, UniSuper is one of Australia's largest super funds, and it's run in the best interests of its members. Our services really are in providing superannuation, pension, insurance, and advice. And historically, this has been to higher education and research industries. In doing that, we've grown to over 450,000 members, and we've got over $100 billion of funds under management. What we also have is more than $10 billion of that funds under management in ESG or environmental investments, and a really strong commitment to sustainable investment. Our mission really is quite simple, and that's to provide greater retirement outcomes to our members. And we do this with really just great returns and low fees. And this has been backed up with a whole string of awards. And if I look at 2021, for example, this has included things like Super Ratings, My Super of the Year. We've got Super Review, Super Fund of the Year, and also Chant West, Pension Fund of the Year. So this has also been a really big year for UniSuper's history. And we've actually made the decision to move from being a closed fund to be an open one that's open to any Australian. So I guess, as you can imagine, that requires a significant amount of business and technology change. And we'll be covering some topics today of how BiZZdesign has helped support this transformation journey.
Tony, I'm going to throw to you now. Can you talk a little bit about your experience implementing these solutions? How has it benefited UniSuper and your customers?
Yeah, thanks, Claire. I think I want to preface this saying that we're early in our journey and there's so much more for us to do. But there's probably two big things that I see that BiZZdesign has helped us since we've implemented it. The first one is a capability-based planning approach. You know, trying that top-down, strategic, business-led, customer-driven, what do we need to do? And how do we then link what those capabilities are that we need to be successful and deliver successful customer outcomes, tie that to our business strategy, and then align that through to all of our initiatives that we need to bring forward and actually implement to change. So the second thing is around business process. You know, making sure we have up-to-date business processes enables us to build holistic enterprise solutions. It enables us to understand our key waste and delays and inefficiencies that we have, and the handovers that we make between teams, so that we can try and simplify those processes and make it quicker and better for our customers in the long term. I think the other big change this has made for us is actually accelerating our transformation journey. Having that up-to-date information, the linkages between who does what, with what, and enabled by what technology, really enables that transformation to be more quickly. Having current state information can save weeks at the start of any change. And it also enables us to understand the change impacts. How much is it going to cost us to change? What do we need to change, or let our business users know about the change, so that we can actually implement, you know, more robustly and sustainably by understanding what that impact of that change is. Yeah, thanks.
No worries. Graham, I'm going to jump to you now. Can I get you to talk a little bit about the IT benefits of your enterprise architecture programs and what benefits they deliver to your organization?
Yeah, perfect. The key business insights around alignment of capabilities to strategy. Capability-based planning, as Tony mentioned, is a top-down whole of organization approach where it breaks through department silos by ultimately shifting from a functional view to a capability view, which we drive through using BiZZdesign, and also then kind of shows the information technology solutions within those capabilities, so that we focus directly on what we need to ultimately execute our UniSuper strategy as these capabilities, and in turn the information technology components are directly linked to our courses of action, our strategies, which is ultimately a golden thread all the way, from our capability down to our technology architectures. And having that capability approached, really directly links to our initiatives and projects, which in turn links to UniSuper's objectives and really enables us to make better information technology investment decisions. And we move from this less random initiative or project that seems like a good idea today from a technology perspective, but in hindsight actually doesn't actually align to our strategy. And once with that capability-based planning, we're able to make those better IT investments.
Tony, I'm going to jump to you. Can I get you to talk a little bit about what the drivers were for UniSuper's digital transformation?
Yeah, Claire. The main driver, I guess, has been a huge change, both in the higher education sector, particularly through COVID in the last couple of years, as well as significant change within the super industry, which has been driven by government legislation trying to make it better for members and including making better super returns. As part of this, in this environment, scale is crucial to delivering a better retirement outcome for all our members. And in this ever-changing environment, including this digital age, we need to meet our customer needs. And as part of that, we need to change digitally. UniSuper now being open to all Australians and giving more access to one of Australia's most awarded super funds means we need to be here in the digital age. We need to be agile. We need to be able to transform more quickly, and UniSuper is well placed to do that, and BiZZdesign is going to help us do that going forward.
Andrew, I'm going to jump back to you. Can I get you to share a little bit about your experience and history with BiZZdesign? When did you start using its software and why?
So I think really a bit of background here. We were looking for a single tool, and that was to support all of the business architecture, and that includes the business process management side, as well as that sort of broader enterprise architecture space. We also wanted a single repository, and that was for covering all of the domains. And for us, that includes business, data, application, technology, and security. And that was to enable us to do the analysis both within and also, more importantly, across each of these domains. So the approach we took to selecting BiZZdesign was that we went through a full RFP process, but also referenced information such as the Gartner Magic Quadrants, and BiZZdesign has been a leader in that space for a number of years, and that helps add really some further credibility to that being selected. Some of the other highlights for us really was having a look at the environment itself, and we've got the Horizon platform and associated with that the Kibana dashboards, and that really provides a really great intuitive front end and a great interface for both the technical users, but specifically and more importantly those business users as well. From an enterprise architecture perspective, the BiZZdesign Enterprise Studio provides a really easy to use browser-based interface, and it's a SaaS platform as well. That really met a lot of our requirements there. I think some of it as well, when you look at those sort of environments, quite often you'll speak to architects and their first sort of response to that is, where's the actual client they can download to use it that way? But actually that web-based platform has been really good, and nobody's actually needed or wanted to do that at all. What we also did in terms of the implementation is we selected BiZZdesign's BVA program, and that's their Business Value Accelerator. And that was really to assist with the implementation, and that kicked off in August 2020. So this sort of BVA program consisted of a range of training. So that was both in terms of the Enterprise Studio, but also in Archimate modeling. What BVA also includes was the BiZZdesign professional services. And this is really to help us to accelerate that deployment and to use the tool so we can actually sort of maximize the benefit as early as possible. This was meant to be face-to-face, but with COVID, this was not possible. So that transitioned to online very easily and really very successfully as well. The consultants that we used, a lot of those were based in the US, and they were really very flexible and accommodating, particularly considering the time differences as well. One of the initial stages of that was the development of our meta model, and that was just ensuring that we all understood the linkages and the relationships between and across each of those domains as well.
Can I get you to share some of the business perspectives for this decision?
Yeah, the key thing around having BiZZdesign was really to engage with our frontline business, enable them to see what they do on a day-to-day basis. To do that, we really need an easy to access and use system, and that's what BiZZdesign gave us. So we can model their business process, we can link work instructions to that so they can use it for training and into their day-to-day work. And the other key thing for us is there's no use modeling something if people won't use it. It needs to be kept up to date, and the workflow system and the front end that we're giving the business units or business users means that they can keep that up to date. We can audit it and they can use it in their day-to-day work. So that's been really one of the key drivers for choosing BiZZdesign.
Andrew and Graham, I'm going to get you to sort of tackle this next question together. Can I get you both to talk a little bit about some of the specifics of how you're using the technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'll start initially, but I think Tony touched on that a bit just now, but we're looking for a tool to help provide some of the visualizations and really looking at a way to create some of the abstractions of the business so we can help us to make some more informed decisions. So in doing that, there are probably two main anchor models that we've built. There's a business capability model, the BCM, and also a technical reference model as well, the TRM. And what we've done is we've mapped overlays of the applications onto the BCM and also system software onto the TRM. What we've also done is provided additional overlay information, and this is using some of the added functionality of BiZZdesign, so doing things like scripting and using metadata to show additional information for business and tech fit, and also the lifecycle management stage of those applications and system software as well. So what that does and how that helps us is that really helps identify some of those rationalization opportunities, but it also helps identify some of those potential investment initiatives and those hotspots that we need to sort of focus in on as part of building that next year's portfolio. What it also does as well is quite helpful in showing some of the standards that also help to minimize tech debt and managing regret spend as well. So what we also have with using BiZZdesign is that both the application and the technology portfolios also have Kibana dashboards, and this really helps to further support the analysis, and that's done through a really intuitive interface as well. From some of the other areas, we're also using the tool for data governance, and we're using that to map and maintain data criticality and sensitivity. And that really helps define some of the security patterns that would need to be applied to that particularly the sensitive data. And security is another one of those domains that we have modeled along with our sort of NIST-based security framework. We're also using the tool to model all of our solution architecture diagrams. And I guess from a technology strategy perspective, we're also using the tool for road mapping. And we've got further work to do in that area over the next few months to really properly embed that in. But again, it looks really powerful, really flexible in terms of what it can do. I think really as a summary there are some tools that I've previously used, but I would say probably look a bit clunky, but I've been really impressed with how good the modeling looks and the effort that's gone into the tool to support that sort of those visual aspects.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrew. Graham, can I get you to dig in a little bit to the sort of business process management side of things?
Yeah, perfect, Claire. As Tony and Andrew have mentioned, UniSuper is now an open fund, and with the rate of accelerated change in our world, having a competitive advantage is more important now than ever before. And in order for us to improve our organizational productivity, we, from an architectural perspective, recognize the importance of improving our business processes. And BiZZdesign has ultimately given us a platform to implement business process management within UniSuper. And with the business process management, it really helps us put into effect quick responses to challenges or opportunities. And with BiZZdesign, we're able to analyze our as-is processes, analyze our as-is business processes, design processes, and then ultimately model those to-be processes, whether they need to, if they need to be changed. We're able to, with BiZZdesign, monitor and control our businesses. But finally, probably the most important one is to refine and improve our actual business processes. But I suppose having BPM in or business process management is one thing. Being able to bridge the gap between our business and IT is another. And we're doing that by driving what we call a capability to process linkage through the business capability model that Andrew mentioned earlier. And we've ultimately built that in BiZZdesign and made it a very tangible product. And it gives us that ability to drive that linkage between business and IT. And ultimately, we have an integrated and comprehensive set of business capabilities within BiZZdesign. And for us, from an architectural perspective, as Andrew mentioned, the BCM is one of the most integral architectural deliverables that we can ultimately use in bridging the gap between our business and IT. And additionally, for us to really understand what we do and how we function as an organization, we really drive that capability process linkage model, where we have this common language and business context that allows us to, for instance, transition from our business capabilities to the physical processes that our business or operational teams are fulfilling day to day. And BiZZdesign allows us to bridge that gap from a very tangible perspective. And the other thing from a business perspective, and specifically BiZZdesign, that is really, really helping us is that unfortunately, bridging the gap is not just about linking your processes to a foundational capability. It's being able to back up your processes with insights. And we're achieving that with BiZZdesign and a modeling notation called BPM 2.0. By mapping our business processes in BiZZdesign with a standard process modeling notation, and being driven by our business process management practice, hand in hand with BiZZdesign, is giving us a platform to really drive insight off the back of our processes because of what we use in terms of the notation. And ultimately, the benefit to the organization, the business, is that with the modeling notation and BiZZdesign, we're able to have effective communication between, as Andrew mentioned earlier, technical and non-technical stakeholders about the business processes that we deal day to day in our organization. And then we're able to also understand knowledge gaps within our processes. And I suppose simply we are able to have a digital representation of our business processes stored in a central electronic repository, where many organizations have very siloed repositories where information might sit in numerous areas. And then finally, I suppose, really being able to translate our business processes into architectural views. So we can translate our BPMN process into, for instance, a business corporation view or an application usage view. I suppose simply put, is just moving our BPMN processes into an Archimate landscape. And this gives our other architectural domains greater assistance when designing new technical solutions, or, for instance, enhancing those actual existing solutions. And finally, I suppose, from a business perspective, having our processes is one thing, and mapping our processes is one thing. And something that Tony touched on earlier is maintenance. And maintenance is probably the biggest problem with mapping processes in any tool. And as Andrew spoke about other tools, I've worked on numerous other enterprise architecture and business process management tools. Processes change day to day, month to month, year on year. Projects will change or create and enhance processes, and really having a sustainable method in providing business process analysts or business stakeholders or projects with as-is processes, but in turn giving them the ability to change the processes is paramount. And we have that ability with BiZZdesign. We treat our processes like a system, not a picture. Our processes to us at UniSuper are living assets, and we have embedded version control with the assistance of BiZZdesign. We're able to control the maintenance of our business processes, therefore nurturing that asset and safeguarding its integrity. So whoever needs the process in the future can actually trust the content. And I always say, having an as-is process, it's like donating blood. You never know when you're going to need it. So it's really important that we nurture those processes.
Before we jump forward to talk about the State of Enterprise Architecture report, I'm going to get to that in a second. But Graham, you mentioned earlier about having sort of a central repository for all of your information. I don't know if you want to tackle this, or Tony or Andrew, you want to take this one, but before we move forward, I would really love to talk a little bit about like governance and data governance. Can you talk a little bit about A, how data governance works within UniSuper, and then B, like how BiZZdesign supports your data governance policies?
Yeah,
perhaps
sure.
I'll start.
Oh,
sorry.
Go for it, Andrew. No, you go for it.
I was going to say, really, it linked back to what I was saying earlier around the meta model, and it's really having that sort of traceability and linkage across a lot of the domains. So from a business process perspective, we've got the business objects that are associated with that, and linked to that is the data objects. And as I said before, the data objects have got two types of data associated with those. So criticality and sensitivity. So that's really part of the main aspect of being able to define what level of controls we need to put across that sort of data management space. Again, that links through into the the data that's stored on particular applications, and again with the security framework of understanding what are the controls we need to put in place for how we can actually secure that. And really keeping member data safe is one of our key strategic pillars that we're working to as well. What BiZZdesign also enables us to do is to enable that review of all of that data to all of the data owners and data stewards in terms of making sure we have processes in place for maintaining that in terms of and in line with compliance as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Andrew. So let's talk a little bit about the State of Enterprise Architecture report, which BiZZdesign put out earlier this year. It summarizes the findings of a survey that it conducted in February, I believe, of 250 enterprise architect professionals about their ability to make informed business and technology decisions, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. I'd love to get your perspective on some of its findings. I'm just going to summarize a few briefly here. The report found that 13% of respondents were fighting for survival, quote unquote, after a very difficult 2020. A further 43% said they had managed to survive, but that further adaptation would be crucial in 2021. It also found that more than a third of enterprise architecture practitioners lack fit-for-purpose tools. Tony, I'll start with you. What about the State of Enterprise Architecture report resonates with you?
I think, Claire, the second point resonated strongly with me around that 43% of respondents said we're going to need to adapt to change. This world is changing quickly. Our customers expect different things. And, you know, as part of needing to change, you know, we're taking a major change from being a closed fund to an open fund. And our customer needs have gone from a smaller group to a larger group. We need to be flexible. We need to adapt. We need to be able to scale. And we need to make things simple. And we can't do business transformation if we don't have the information available for us to move more quickly and accelerate that transformation. Operating in a competitive environment you need to make sure you're making informed decisions more quickly. And that's what part of this tool is doing, right? We have the information around how does our business work? How does it link? And understanding that enables us to accelerate our initiatives. We don't spend 4 to 6 weeks trying to understand how do we do that now? How should we do it in the future? And we really need to be able to adapt quickly.
Andrew, can I get you to talk a little bit about your response to the report and some of the insights that you gleaned from its findings?
Yeah, and I think it's probably tied in with what Tony was saying, is that really from a technology perspective, we're business led. And I think that's part of the tool and the way we've built it. It helps provide that traceability in terms of what we're doing and how it ties back to the business plan and the business strategy. So that's one aspect of it. I think the other side is that third point around the actual EA tool and whether that's fit for purpose. You know, if you look back probably 18 months ago, we certainly didn't have a fit for purpose tool, and probably quite similar to a lot of organizations. We were using Visio and PowerPoint, and all of this is stored in completely different places. And there's really no ability to be able to analyze any of that information within the domain, let alone across it. So I think that's one of those with the meta model and the relationships and the linkages that we've got across the domains allows us to do a lot richer amount of analysis as we go through and understanding some of that business change. So I think that's really the main ones from my side. Just helps us to understand those relationships and the ability as well within the tool to reuse that information as well. So it asks, you know, and enables us to ask all of the right sort of questions, and through that we can then make some much more informed decisions.
So Andrew and Graham, I'm going to get you to talk a little bit about how your experience to some of the outcomes listed in the report. I'm just going to give a couple of the top line findings. Out of a 5-star rating, 1 being disagree and 5 being agree, we've got improved investment decisions. We've got an average rating of 3.32. improved compliance, security and risk management, 3.27, and improved business process management, 3.29. These are just the top 3 out of about 10 different findings. But Andrew and Graham, it would be great to get your experience about how it compares to some of these findings in the report.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think to start off with is just looking at that capability-based planning approach that we're going through. I think that's one of them that's really quite key in really working through and going, what is the business strategy and what are those areas we actually need to invest in, and then making sure you've got that alignment of that those funds there to invest in the right area, to uplift the maturity of those capabilities to the right level as well. So I think that's one of the key areas where EA, and we're working really closely between the business architecture team and obviously the technology in terms of that being business-led in terms of those real decisions that we need to make. And also the other one is probably the reverse side of that, of just making sure that we're not making any unnecessary investment in capability areas that are not strategically important. So again, making the best use of the funds and the resources that are available to us.
Graham, can I get any of your perspective with regards to some of the findings and how your experience compares?
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, obviously the improvements around business process management, that's a real key insight in terms of really improving or establishing a business process management framework, as I mentioned before. And that's what we ultimately have done. We established a business process management framework that specifically focuses on each stage within business process management. So we are effectively analyzing our processes, effectively modeling those as-is processes to a specific standard that we can then drive insight off the back of those business processes. Business process management is a framework, but we as an organization and specific in architectural practice need to embed those practices within our organization, not just within an IT area, but within our business area as well.
Okay, fantastic. Andrew, can we talk a little bit about your enterprise architecture priorities for 2021 and probably for 2022? It is already October now.
Yes, that's right. We're certainly getting there. I think some of it is really that continue to support that ongoing refresh of the overall program of work and the portfolio. And for all organizations, that's made up of a combination of supporting the business strategy. There's always going to be legislation changes, which is always quite key to the work we're doing. And then there's also the technology change initiatives as well. To support all of that, we're going through a whole range of work of looking at our target state architecture blueprint and really the supporting roadmap in terms of how we get there. So the usual rolling 3-year view as we go through that. The other ones, really some of our key priorities is going to be continued migration to the cloud and also a lot of work going into the data architecture space as well. I think it's generally and similar to a lot of architecture functions, just looking to incrementally and continually uplift the broader architecture practice. From an EA tool perspective, really our BiZZdesign implementation is key to that. And really some of it is as we go through all of this work we're doing, we're continually and incrementally improving all of the data we've got in there. So as Tony was saying earlier, it's becoming easier, quicker, faster, and more intuitive to kind of build out that data, and obviously to make sort of more informed decisions from that as we can do more and more analysis as we get more information in there. So really it's continuing to further build that capability and also making that accessible to a wider set of stakeholders across the business and really just making sure that we've got all of that sort of enterprise architecture, comms and knowledge awareness as we go through. So as I say, BiZZdesign is a key part of our enterprise architecture toolset, and we'll be continuing to build that out over the next year and onwards.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you guys in the future about how your progresses. I'm afraid we've run out of time for our Q&A, but if anyone has sent any questions through, please continue to do that, and we'll make sure that we get you a response to those questions afterwards. Before we go, can I get any last words or final observations? Tim, I might start with you. We haven't spoken to you for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I just wanted to, I guess, really, thank, Tony and Andrew and Graham for sharing their insights and observations. We've been, BiZZdesign and Aquion been working very closely with UniSuper over the last sort of year and a half. And look, we're really thrilled to partner with them, as they go through the next phase of their organisational growth and expanding into new markets. And look, certainly we work with a range of different organisations across financial services. And a lot of what's been discussed today, we hear a lot of the similar themes and similar challenges. So no, I think it's been a great session.
Tony, any final thoughts or observations?
I think the key for me is being, let's have a central repository. Let's have something where we can link our processes to our applications, to our data, to our business roles, and this is what that central repository BiZZdesign is doing for us, and that'll really help us accelerate on what we need to do to deliver to those new customers that we've got coming on board, and deliver a great experience for all of our members.
Thanks, Tony. It was so great to hear your insights today. So we're really looking forward to hearing more from you and from UniSuper in the next year or two. Andrew, any final words?
I think some of it is just looking at the power that we get from the tool in terms of those relationships. So building some of that collaboration that goes on across each of those architecture domains. That's something that's really quite key, and something we can get a lot of value from, and looking forward to doing over the next and the coming months.
Fantastic. Graham, we're ending with you. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, probably one of my points that I raised earlier around, and Tony's also and Andrew have just spoken about the information that we capture. Once we capture it, it's there, but nurturing that and treating it as an asset is really key, and not treating what we create as just a picture. Ultimately, an asset can be reused, and we must think about it from a sustainability perspective. The future users of that information want to trust it. And if we nurture that information, it will be a trusted source to make better decisions in the future.
Fantastic. Well, this brings us to the end of this really informative discussion on enterprise architecture and its role in digital transformation, and for highlighting some of the important themes which we're likely to hear more about over the coming months. I'd just like to thank Andrew, Tony, Graham, and Tim for making the time today to share with us their experience. I've been your host, Claire Connolly, and on behalf of iTnews and Next Media, thank you for joining us. We wish you the very best as you plan and execute your next digital transformation. Thank you and have a wonderful day.